What is up, everybody? Welcome back to You Guys Made Me Inc., the number one Finding Nemo podcast on the internet. I almost just said
Just
number one
podcast in general. Yeah,
almost.
Yeah.
Not
Probably the most ever viewed podcast that's ever existed.
Yeah, I would assume. I mean, we do pretty good for ourselves here at Fanboy Talks.
Yeah. We're rolling in money, and that's basically stories told about us.
Yeah.
And our unique way of burning down bits.
Legends.
Yeah, legends of all things. I mean, you know how Destiny's tagline was like, become legend? That's just kind of like, that's what we do in our everyday lives, you know?
It's just a daily thing, and kind of gets old sometimes, man.
I know, I want to be able to go outside when nobody notices me.
Yeah, I mean,
and the paparazzi don't follow me, but this is the life I lead, I guess.
Yeah. Same, man.
Holy shit. I just got like 12 text messages in a row, and it's freaking me out.
Honestly, I put my phone... Oh, it's on my PlayStation. It's like I put my phone somewhere. No idea where I put it. Okay. So, let's get this road on the show. Why don't we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, you want to go first? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go first. We'll see how you feel about some of these guys.
Can't wait.
So... We've gone through a couple different things in like our podcast so far. I think this is episode 11, and we've spoken about like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we've spoken about all sorts of different kinds of content. And I mean, at this very moment, the millions of dollars that we've made off of our content is entirely based on like us giving our opinion on stuff. So I wanted to ask the question, because I've been looking through some stuff. I watched like a 10, or it was like either 10 or 8 what the fuck questions after Avengers Infinity War. And one of them was basically like asking a question that was necessarily told. The answer was given, it just wasn't super like... They didn't give it an entire line, entire like paragraph of exposition on a screenplay. It was like one line. So I want to ask the question, are audiences wanting too much from content? So just content in general, not necessarily movies, but also like books and just internet content, games, all that stuff. What do you think? Do you think audiences they're expecting too much, that they're wanting too much? Because there's only so much that somebody can do.
I think that, yes, I think expectations are really high right now, but I think that is because we have had our expectations met a lot.
We've been spoiled so much with like amazing movies and games and books that now we're like, well, shit, why didn't you just do this? And it's like, well, that wasn't like actually possible.
And here's the thing about being a fan of something, of anything. And I go through this all the time. I think I know what's better than the people that get paid millions of dollars to do this. I don't. I really don't. But I think I do.
Yeah, I feel like that's part of the fucking fanboy or fangirl starter kit, is thinking you know better than the original creator. And it's like, you might, but you generally don't. It's almost always you don't. Well, like I criticize stuff consistently, but once you ask how I would change it, I'm like, oh shit, you got me.
Well, the biggest thing I would compare it to is the NFL draft. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I kind of raged during the NFL draft because I think I know what my team should do more than the dude that gets paid millions of dollars to know what's going on does. And I probably don't. And I'm probably really dumb, but I like to think I know more. I really do.
I think everybody thinks I don't know. I think it all comes back to like people wanting to be special, like people wanting to be one of a kind. That we all think that like, oh, I have the answer to this fucking unsolvable equation, and it's A or B or whatever. And you're like, oh yeah, nobody else had this idea. When also like the original creator, the person that you're criticizing, more than likely had that idea, but specifically steered away from it.
And here's again going back to the NFL draft, because this is I feel like this encapsulates it so perfectly. Is that one thing I did keep like quote giving them credit for was I kept saying, well, they obviously know something that I don't, and it's always true, you know.
Or in 20 years, you're gonna be like, just kidding, they didn't know things that I didn't know.
It very well could be possible, but you know, it's like, because let's say the NFL draft is happening and there's a guy that I really like and he's a projected top 15 talent. My team's picking at 31 and he falls. Well, first of all, that makes you think, well, why is he falling this far? And you could think, okay, well, he had some injury issues. And then you go, yeah, but if he gets past that, he's a top 15 talent and we get him at 31, that seems like a steal. But then they didn't take him. And then the team after them didn't take him. And then the next day, 5 more teams didn't take him until, 30-something. So you sit there and you say, well, obviously, these teams know something that I don't. So these creators of these movies obviously know what Avengers 4 is going to be, and we don't. So that's why this movie did what it had to do,
Yeah, I think I think it was like Alana Pierce tweet about it like months
follow, by the way.
Maybe a year ago. Yeah, she's fucking hilarious.
She's really funny. Good follow.
And her boyfriend Blaine, he's a fucking
awesome.
Majestic human being. He's awesome.
Great follow
I
as well.
love him. He's probably my favorite person on Rooster Teeth. But she tweeted like a year ago, I think, about how, and at the time I was like, well, that's kind of ironic considering the situation, which I'll explain in a second. But she was like in a way criticizing basically like audiences and fans for trying to tell the creator what to do, like essentially criticizing their artwork and then saying like, oh, what would make it better, this. And I mean, in some situations it's constructive criticism, and in others you're just kind of being an ass. But I mean, if you know what Alana Pierce does, is she works for IGN, and a lot of what they do is based on reviews. So that is why at the time I was like, oh, that's kind of ironic. One of the people who works for this gigantic, basically internet company that reviews products is basically talking shit about reviewing products or like giving your own take on something. So, but yeah, I think now that in retrospect, I look back on it and I'm like, man, no, that actually, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because like, who are we as audiences to think that we were owed something? Like, I mean, in certain instances, yes, you are owed something. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
But we did get something. It wasn't.
Yeah, you got something.
Perfect, but it was.
Yeah,
something.
It's not exactly what you wanted.
And a lot of the time, it's worth the $60, except for No Man's Sky.
It's definitely okay. Now it's worth the $60. It's so fucking worth it. Everybody's just being a little bitch about this fucking game.
I just like shitting on it.
I mean, the perfect example of recently, I mean, it's not Avengers Infinity War. Perfect example of this was Far Cry 5, where everybody was criticizing for what it wasn't and not basically like critiquing it or congratulating on what it is. Yeah, they were like, oh, it was supposed to be this take on the fucking Nazis in America, the right people. Nope, that's not really where it went. It's all about
a religious cult.
Yeah, it's about a fanatic religious cult. It's not about like just attacking one political spectrum.
They did that like, a little bit, but
I mean, yeah, everybody does that a little bit. They like talk shit about anything. I mean, fucking there's an episode of New Girl where they talk major shit about Republicans and all sorts of stuff, and how stupid being a Democrat is, and all sorts of weird shit. Like, everybody talks shit because you want to give an opinion, but yeah,
they wanted they wanted Far Cry to give a definite opinion that they agreed with.
yeah, and it wasn't what they like. It wasn't what they thought it was going to be, which is so interesting because now if you look back at the marketing for it, it makes so much more sense that you were like, oh yeah, why would you expect it to be this attack on like Nazis in America, this attack on the right, when really like literally everything that it showed was about, they didn't say anything about political affiliation, they spoke about this cult. They were like, no, it's this fucking crazy ass religious cult that has taken over Hope County in Montana, and that's it. Like you fight them, you try to take it back. And not once in the entire basically like marketing of this game did they go like, oh, a fucking Democrat hero goes in and kills fucking right-wing Nazis and shit in Montana. Far Cry 5.
In Montana.
Nazi punching. Yeah, never once did they ever say that, which I imagine with our millions of followers, I'm going to get flack for saying this, but yeah, people just read into it what they wanted. And in reality, they I think, very accurately portrayed what their game is, versus like some movies and games saying they are something, but they definitely aren't. Like, from what I understand, Downsizing is not this like feel-good movie or anything. It's actually far different.
Yeah,
and that was kind of a weird like little shot at Matt Damon, I guess. I don't know, I haven't seen Downsizing. It's just literally every time somebody talks about Matt Damon, they're just like, oh yeah, Downsizing, I mean, it was supposed to be like kind of funny and kind of like this feel-good movie, and then it wasn't. It was definitely different. Okay, cool.
You're like, whatever.
I don't really give a shit. I mean, Matt Damon did The Martian, so that's cool, but what has he done for me lately, you know? What's up? Fucking Suburbia, which I still haven't seen.
So now that we're kind of past that topic a little bit, there are two people I want to give shout-outs to right now. One, he doesn't really need a shout-out from us because he has like over 2 million subscribers, but it's a YouTube channel, and the dude's name is Fitz. F-I-T-Z. And if you ever watched just like a group of friends playing a video game, that's all it is him and his friends. I don't remember their names because I just literally started watching it like Friday. But they just play a whole bunch of games. You've probably seen clip outs of it on like Facebook and Twitter and stuff, but they're really funny. You guys should go check them out. And then the other person is you, Mr. Vaughn.
Oh my gosh, thanks.
These last two thumbnails for our videos, man, those are some comedy comedy gold right there.
They're fucking weird. Morgan actually, so I've had this huge like distaste. I really don't like clickbaity stuff. And we actually had an entire episode on this. I think it was like episode 3. And the title's literally clickbait title, which I thought was hilarious because
no, that was episode 2.
It was it episode 2.
Yeah.
It's gotten like
surprisingly enough,
some
it has like
high.
Yeah, it has like not a lot, but more views than most of our videos. It's got
some decent views, yeah. And I just thought that was funny because the title is clickbait title, and I was like, I wonder what they thought it was gonna be. But I was speaking to my girlfriend Morgan about it, like while she saw me editing the thumbnail, and she was like, "So, you're doing the clickbait thumbnail, are you?" She's like, "You finally went for that," and I was like, "I don't think this is necessarily clickbait, but yeah." I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go down this clickbait rabbit hole.
But it's funny looking, so I enjoyed those.
Yeah, I mean, nobody really gives a shit about me, so it's not like fucking Philip DeFranco putting like.
It's not like when we put Philip DeFranco and he got 18 views, more than most of our podcasts. No, what I was gonna say was like when Philip DeFranco talks about when he brings up a large creator just randomly, like not even a big deal, not even maybe like an entire story about them. He literally just says their name. He puts them in the title.
Well, yeah, he'll do that. He'll put them in the title, or he'll put them in the thumbnail, and it's like, oh, you literally spoke about them one time, but he always makes a joke about it.
He did speak about them, though.
Yeah, he talks about them in like 1 second. He's like, oh yeah, and fucking the people from H3H3 like talked about it for 10 seconds, and then he puts them in the thumbnail. I was like, oh wow, I thought there was another H3H3 like controversy.
It's really smart.
Mind. I know, it's so smart, and I love that he always makes jokes about it. He's like, and thank you for allowing me to put you in my thumbnail.
Like, every time he just brings up PewDiePie, he says something like that.
Yeah, and then of course he puts him in the thumbnail.
Was the biggest content creator on the site.
Is he still? I've
think
kind of
so.
wondered about that. Has PewDiePie really, like, with all these like controversies and everything, with saying the N-word over a stream and all this like anti-Semitic like rumors and everything, is he still the largest content creator, or has like Logan Paul like basically knocked him
62
down or
million
something?
subscribers.
How many subscribers do Logan and his fucking mongoloid brother have?
Logan, I think he has somewhere around 12. Oh, Logan has
That-
17.
Million?
Yes.
I like how I had to fucking say million, but that was obvious.
And Jake Paul almost has 15.
Oh, so seemingly PewDiePie is still like the largest.
You know who's flying up the ranks though?
Us.
Ninja.
Oh yeah, I forgot. He recently started actually
Literally, like-
coming over to YouTube and also streaming.
Literally like 2 weeks ago, he got his Ninja channel and already has 10 million subscribers.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I literally haven't watched any of his stuff.
The crazy this is the craziest thing. Oh, he uploaded a video 51 minutes ago, only has 105,000 views. The craziest thing I find about these like subscriber count to like views per video is that Ninja's average views is somewhere around like 5 million. He has 10 million subscribers. He gets like, I'd say, maybe 4 million. But
he still has roughly half of his entire audience that looks at a video.
Yeah, but PewDiePie has 62 million subscribers, and he's averaging, looks like somewhere around like 5 million as well. So it's like, huh.
So the drop off between their actual subscriber count and their view count is far different.
Yeah, it's quite
like
interesting.
Ninja's is like 50% and like PewDiePie's is like 20%.
And like that guy I was watching, or I was talking about earlier, he has 2.1 million 2.2. That's cool. 2.2 million subscribers, and he averages probably 3 million views a video.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like
I think
he's getting more views per video than he actually has subscriber count, and I think that's the most interesting, like,
yeah.
stat.
I mean, there's definitely like I think it's really interesting that there are people that exist that just basically interpret these trends, and they're like, oh yeah, like business consultants that will interpret a trend. They'll be like, oh yeah, well this guy's putting out this kind of content, so if you do that, you can get more videos or more views on this one video than you even have subscribers, and you're gonna massively go up in subscribers just based on a recent trend. I'm like, wow, that's so interesting. When I'm just like, I think people like Red Dead, so I make a video on it and get some previews.
Like Vanoss, another gaming channel, very funny, has 22 million subscribers, but is only averaging like 3 to 4 million views. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever understand it, honestly. The YouTube analytics is really interesting and kind of helpful. Like the entire page of like analytics that you can see. They actually just recently, I checked the Fanboy Talks email, and they sent me like a 1 month, like, oh, this is how many you've gained in 1 month, like subscribers, views, and like total watch time. And within the past month, we've had like 11 hours of watch time. And I don't know why, but that made me feel pretty cool. Even though it was in an entire month, we had 11 hours of watch time.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Honestly.
I still think it's cool. I mean, our longest videos are these You Guys Made Me Ink ones. So, I mean, if 11 people watch the entire thing, it kind of makes sense. But still, yeah, it's odd. But quick segue into another topic. So, how did you feel about Black Panther? Did you ever actually see Black Panther?
Yeah, I saw it.
You did? Who'd you
Yeah.
go with? You didn't go with me.
No, I just watched it.
Oh, cool. You just went by yourself? Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I'll just go fuck myself. You know. Even
No,
answer
honestly, I
calls, whatever.
pirated it, but
So
it's
did
still
you
not
ever
out on
notice-
DVD, so fuck it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Did you ever notice that in the entire movie it never talks about like Killmonger's mom?
I feel like if it mentioned it, I would remember, but it didn't.
Yeah,
so.
it's a big deal like to talk about his dad, but for the most part, it never talks about his mom. And recently, the director of Black Panther actually came out and spoke about Killmonger's mom and where she was. And apparently, I'm not sure if it's still in the movie or if they took it out of the movie or if they just never really explained it. Apparently, the original heist that Killmonger, like Eric Killmonger, that his father was setting up in the opening scene was actually to go break his mom out of prison because that's where she was, and apparently she died in prison. I mean, I thought that was interesting. IGN had an article about it.
I'm trying to think about it. This opening scene when the two guys are sitting there talking, there's the kids playing basketball and stuff.
Yeah, and his dad goes upstairs, and the two, like, he and who you later find out is T'Chaka's, like, right-hand man.
Yeah.
They're talking and planning out, like, a heist, it seems, but apparently it's actually to break out his mom.
I'm trying to think of trying to remember what they were talking about.
It's, like, pretty rough. Like I said, I don't know if they 100%, like, kept it in,
that'd be
or if they
cool,
took it
though.
out. Yeah, but apparently that's what it is, and the director was like, yeah, we never, like, he has a really fucked up past just with what happened to his dad and seeing his dad's, like, dead fucking body on the ground, that we didn't feel it, we didn't deem it necessary to basically, like, talk about how it's even more fucked up because he grew up without a mom as well, because she was in prison. I was like, oh, man. That's super fucked up.
That would have added.
I mean,
yeah. The reason they didn't do it is because people already liked him enough.
Yeah, it definitely would have added context.
They didn't want to make him even more likable, and people were like, "Well, why you got to do that to this guy?"
I know, literally, like through the entire thing, he and Thanos are probably the only villains that I was like, man, I definitely see where you're coming from. All right,
well, and
that's pretty dope.
Vulture, Homecoming.
Yeah, he was just kind of a dick. I mean, I saw where he was coming from, and he was relatable, but he was just, like, pulling off heists to fucking get money for his family. So I guess it makes sense. It's just like any good heist movie. It's about basically, like, making money for their family. Like the Place Beyond the Pines, which isn't necessarily a heist movie, but it's a good movie.
I actually watched that recently. That was kind of cool.
It's really interesting. Yeah, it has Ryan Gosling and Dane DeHaan, I think is what his name is, Bradley Cooper. Yeah, really interesting movie. I was expecting it to end in like a much more flashy like way, but in the end it's just, and I think his name is either Dane or Dave DeHaan. He just rides off into the sunset on a fucking motorcycle just like his dad did in like the opening. Like, wow, that's really interesting. Wow. I definitely thought you were gonna kill somebody.
Yeah, I liked it.
It's a great movie. I've always enjoyed movies that basically like do like the time skip where you'd think it would be over right then. So spoiler alert to the Place Beyond the Pines. His father dies. Ryan Gosling character, he is essentially killed by Bradley Cooper's character, who's a cop. And then it like flashes forward like years later when both of their sons have grown up, and basically like the fallout of what happened because of his father's untimely death, essentially, which I really liked. I've always wanted that in movies. Like, you've always wondered what happened with the characters later on. You're like, oh well, yeah, they live happily ever after, but what really happened? Which also, just to hit on this note, I really hate it when they make a sequel to it and then it's like, oh yeah, no, they're fucked up again. We have to, basically, we're just remaking the same movie again. AKA fucking Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Douchebags.
Okay, let's not start taking shots at Jurassic
fucking
World.
Shots fired at Jurassic World for making the same fucking movie twice. I'm gonna go see it, which I'm part of the problem. Yeah, I want to see fucking Chris Pratt fight some dinosaurs. But No, it's the same movie. Fucking, and Bryce Dallas Howard is super hot, but literally, like, they
Is she
at the end
super
of,
hot though? Like
I think
she's
she's
really
super hot.
attractive.
I've
I
always
don't know
thought
about
she was really
super
attractive.
hot.
I think she's super hot.
Okay,
I think
fair.
she's super hot.
I think she's
But,
really attractive, but
basically in the end of the first movie, they're like together. It's insinuated that they're together, and then these trailers are just like,
Insinuating
oh,
they are
they're
not.
not together. Yeah, they're like, what the fuck, dude? Come on. And in the beginning of Jurassic World, they basically talk about how essentially the same thing happened. Like, they were together, and then they weren't because she thought he was like a fucking meathead. He thought she was conceited, whatever. And then they get together, and now they're not together. And I'm like, cool, I'll just go fuck myself. I was kind of hoping, like, I don't know, you guys were actually in a relationship or something. Because sadly, I'm super into romance. I mean, that's not sadly. I'm super into romance. A lot of my favorite movies are romances. Not romantic comedies, I will add. There's a difference.
no rom-coms?
I like rom-coms. I do. But romances specifically are what I enjoy. They have like higher highs and lower lows, and that's what I like, where I think romantic comedies really just stay in the same like super predictable pattern. They're just like, oh yeah, the guy's not really meant for the girl, but then it turns out like, yeah, he is meant for the girl. I mean, there's kind of some fucked up shit that happened, but the guy or girl did something nice, and now they're together again. It's pretty cool.
Just like that?
Okay, fuck you. Literally every one of them. It's the same thing that happens, and also movies that heavily feature like relationships between like a reluctant father and a new daughter, stuff like that, or basically like the reluctant mom and the son, or anything like that. They all basically follow the same pattern, and it's the one I just said. And it's always really annoyed me.
It's the one I just said.
Like, literally, I've been able to predict movies, like, they're basically 100% since I was a kid, because I noticed this one pattern, and I was like, oh, yeah, no, they use this all the time. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, I remember. Here's a remember from Chase. You know, not a memory. A remember. When I was younger, my family would do, like, this, like, movie night or, whatever. And,
No, I've never heard of a movie night.
And
this has never happened before.
And I really didn't care about the movies or whatever. So if it was a movie I hadn't seen, me and my brother would like go in the other room and he'd like tell me what would happen, and then I would just pretend like I totally just guessed what happened. And my stepmom was like really questioning what the hell was going on. It was really funny. That's
yeah,
just a quick side note.
Quick remember.
A quick remember with Chase. Dun, 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 dun.
I mean, yeah, that just happened. So do you remember any PS2 games? Obviously you do, because we talk about Champions of Norath like every fucking weekend.
Literally Champions of Norath, dude. What are you talking about?
That's mostly it. Well, Sony announced this week that essentially they are bringing PS2 games to PlayStation Now as like a backwards compatibility thing, just like they did with PS3 games on PlayStation Now, which is definitely annoying because you have to have like a fucking amazing internet connection, which here in Idaho,
because it's like streaming
few
the
and far
game,
between. Yeah, you stream it. You don't download it or anything like that. You essentially, they did the exact opposite of what
Xbox.
Microsoft has done with the Games Pass.
Yeah, well, here's my thing. Is
or
like
Game Pass.
Ooh, Games Pass. Gregos and Andrea Dollar. Did you ever hear about that? Just wondering.
What, the Game Pass or the Games Pass thing?
Yeah. The bet.
Yeah. He owed her like $20 because he said
time.
it 20 times and owed her $1 every time he said Games Pass instead of Game Pass.
Yeah. But here's my thing about it. Sony, I have like 200 PS3 games sitting in a case. So why don't you just make it backwards compatible? I know there's some logistical things that wouldn't work, but how about you just do it? Just do it.
Literally call back to the first topic on this fucking show, us thinking we know better than the creators, which this is true though. Fucking do it.
This is the one time.
This is the one time where we're trying to future-proof their dumbasses. We're like, no, we're 100% right. You don't know anything that we don't know. Fucking do it. Backwards compatibility makes money. it makes that Skrilla. You're gonna be raining fucking paper on strippers and such if you fucking do backwards compatibility.
Okay, so I have a question.
Shoot.
So you watch a lot of TV. You see these, these homes or these apartments or whatever that these people live in. Is there a specific home or apartment that you were like, man, I would love to live in that? Because
I see where you're going with this.
This kind of goes back to what we were talking about yesterday when we were talking about Drake and Josh's room, how their room was just lit.
To point out, this is not where we were talking about yesterday on a podcast. This is literally like I was over at his house, and this is a random conversation we had.
Yep.
That they had a really cool bedroom.
They had a really cool bedroom, and we talked about it. So
just because I brought up the feud between Josh Peck and Drake Bell.
Yep, I think that's literally what started the entire thing.
So I mean, is that your fucking dream home? Is to have Drake's bed?
No, but I mean, that was just kind of the fuel to that. Like, is there a room, or we can go with a room or just like a house or an apartment that you see and you're like, man, that is so awesome. You're like, logistically, there's no way that fits in whatever square footage you have, but that's awesome.
I honestly, okay, so I mean, this kind of goes back on my whole romantic comedy thing, but also I'm okay with romantic comedies on TV. I just don't like movies that are romantic comedies. But The Loft from New Girl, I've only watched that fucking series 6 times through. And I love The Loft from New Girl. It's so dope.
Oh, one sec.
It's
I've never
fucking
actually
huge.
seen New Girl. Let me look this up.
It's got 5 bedrooms. It's crazy. But also when you think about the way that everything goes, you're like, that's not real. Nick's and Schmidt's room, which you're not going to understand since you haven't seen New Girl, it basically leads open to a canopy. And in one episode, there's a guy who, how construction workers, they work in those buckets and they move it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They got to go up and shit.
Yeah, there's one of those that goes past their room. And I'm like, see, that doesn't make a whole lot of fucking sense, though. Because you are either in a building that is an entire rectangle with the center cut out, similar to, a fucking octagon, or you, the windows that you have should not be anywhere because those windows lead directly to the hallway.
It doesn't work out.
Yeah, when you think of where their room is adjacent to the door, you're like, there's a hallway there. You shouldn't be looking down. How would you see somebody in a bucket outside when there's a hallway? Why do you have a window to the hallway? And I've always thought about it. I'm like, you know what? Actually, maybe it doesn't go to the hallway, but that's where the bucket thing comes in. Because if it doesn't go to a hallway, then this is a building that... It's just a weird-ass fucking building that doesn't make any sense. It's a very slim building with only 2 apartments on each floor, and it doesn't make any sense. Or it's a C. Who the fuck builds buildings into a C? I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, their loft, yeah, I really enjoy that. It's to go on a weird tangent about the way that their fucking sets are laid out. Yeah, I really enjoy their loft. I think it's really cool. It's got all this open space and this really cool steel, I don't know if it's steel, but it's a metal door that they can block off the hallway with, which I've always thought was interesting because it essentially just looks like they're just trying to keep a monster in or some shit. What is the point of that door other than, Terminators or whatever, zombies. Zombies.
You remember that house?
Yeah, that's my answer to the question.
The house from Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
I don't. I'm gonna fucking hot take here as well. I have literally seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off once in my entire life. Don't remember much about it. And it's on Netflix. I could watch it. I just haven't.
Great movie, dude.
I don't know why, but I'm not a huge fan of Matthew Broderick. I'm just eh.
Well, there's a house in it that's a glass house, and it's fucking cool.
Oh, Cameron's house?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I like how I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't seen it. Then I'm like, oh yeah, this Cameron's house.
Like
That's literally in like the opening scenes of the movie.
like that's Roberto's home. What?
Yeah, like let's talk about this weird ass thing. So since we're on the topic of just random shit and segue, Ferris Bueller's Day Off is on Netflix. Have you heard that Netflix is focusing mostly on making sci-fi and fantasy series?
Well, I know that Lost in Space is getting shit on so hard.
Which I think is so funny. Like Altered Carbon got like mixed reviews, it seems, but mostly positive. And then they had, I think it was Mute, that was a sci-fi movie that did not get good reviews, but I didn't think it was that bad. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't very good. And yeah, if Lost in Space is getting shit on, then I think that's hilarious. Interesting enough, I mean, they make some good fantasy series.
It looks fine. Like 69% Rotten Tomatoes, 73 or 7.3 on IMDb. I've just seen on Twitter that people are shitting on that show. Like, it's fun to shit on shows.
Yeah, they're really hoping for the fucking early 2000s film, but a Netflix version of that.
I watched like the
Danger,
first two
Will
episodes
Robinson.
and it didn't look that bad. I don't know what everyone was freaking out about.
Everybody freaks out about all sorts of stuff, but also Netflix has produced some fucking shitty ass content sometimes. They're definitely hit or miss. But one thing that I don't necessarily understand is that all of these like articles and everything are like, oh, Netflix is focusing on fantasy and sci-fi, and then basically like it came out with statistics and it's like 29% of upcoming content will be these genres like that fits the bill, and I'm like, how does that make sense? 29% of it, and that's you focusing on it? I'm not understanding that.
I see what they're trying to say. How many genres are there really, though?
I mean, there's like thriller and everything. There's the horror, thriller, romance, and all sorts of stuff. Period pieces, documentaries, comedy specials.
Okay, I'd
whatever,
love to see like a pie chart then.
of what they're actually like putting their money into.
Yeah, because if they say they're focusing on it, that means they could be like putting 5% everywhere else, but this 30% or whatever you're saying into that. So I mean,
that math just doesn't add up though. It's 29%. To give a percentage, you have to have 100%. That's a fraction of what it is.
yeah, but I'm saying that there could be 10 things that they're working on, 10 genres, quote, that they're working on, and if they're putting 30% of it into 30% of it is from one genre, then yeah, I'd say that's focusing on it.
Oh, because it's slightly higher than every other percentage?
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, our next highest percentage is 28%, so we're focusing on fantasy and sci-fi.
Well, it's like when you go to the
You
gym,
fucking
Vaughn,
bitches.
and you go to the
Always.
gym for a leg
100%.
day. You do a little bit of arms, not a whole lot of arms, but you're just focusing on your legs.
No, you don't do any fucking arms. It's a leg day. What's wrong with you? All or nothing, bitch. Commit to the bit.
That
Fucking
ain't a
leg day
bit.
or arm day. It's fucking consistency. Leg day or arm day. You bitch.
Well, what about like full body day?
Who does a full body day? How does a full body day even make sense? Isn't that just like everyday life? You're working out your whole body.
Oh, is
Like
that
you
every
walk,
day is working out your whole body, huh?
Yeah, okay, so I walk, that's legs. I pick up my fucking keys, that's arms. I talk, that's essentially my vocal cords, that's part of the body. I fucking exercise my mind because I have to talk to you.
What percentage would you say that is of your body?
What, my vocal cords?
Yeah.
I mean, I focus on them, so it's at least 29%.
Okay.
Yeah, I talk a lot, so at least 29% of my focus goes to vocal cords.
Well, that's a good number.
They got to be strong. I mean, to make podcasts, to make all this quality content that we make, you got to have some strong ass vocal cords.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Oh shit, what am I doing?
I don't know. I'm literally like 10 miles away from you. I don't know why you're asking me that question.
Fucking know what I'm doing either.
Interesting. So something recently. This is kind of a divisive topic between the two of us, but I've been like watching some random like list videos that are like, oh, best browser MMOs to play, and interesting enough, none of them say anything about RuneScape. They're like, oh yeah, I really like MapleStory, and I really like all of these different ones, but they generally like entirely don't talk about RuneScape, which I really think is interesting. And I mean, there's your
casuals.
There's your half of the story that you're like, oh no, I like the original RuneScape, and I'm like, I like RuneScape 3. RuneScape 3 is pretty decent. It's fun.
Well, I wish that I could bring my character back to fucking RuneScape OG or whatever.
Yeah, you wish you could play OG with this like fucking level 80 character or whatever.
Yeah, because I mean, the only reason I play the game is for nostalgia. I don't really,
Yeah,
so I don't really
you're not playing
play
it like
3.
I am to actually play a game. You're
Yeah.
like playing it for your nostalgic fix.
Because I never really played RuneScape as like a game, like a sit here and I guess obviously it was like a game because that's what games are. But it was just kind of like a chill out and play RuneScape type of thing rather than, oh man, I can't wait to put in fucking Battlefield and go kill some dudes.
Yeah, it's not something that you put 29% of your focus in. It's something that you put 28% of your focus in.
Yeah, a minority rather than a majority.
Oh, okay. Nice. Well, interesting enough, that was all my topics. So, what you got for me, Chase? You gonna throw a fucking hardball at me? You're gonna be like, hey, let's talk about fucking...
Probably not, because as
dead
you
babies.
said that, I literally just pulled up 101 interesting facts and questions to pick a boring gathering, so...
You saying this is boring?
No, I'm saying
bitch.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be boring now that you have this amazing article of 100 fucking facts.
Yeah, okay, so I saw something going on, when the March Madness was a thing, people were making brackets. People were making brackets of favorite, like, animated Disney movies. What would you say your favorite animated Disney movie is?
Specifically Disney?
Just animated. Because everyone was doing brackets, so it was like they wanted to stick to one specific group. But yeah, just favorite animated movie or TV show or your favorite animated thing. Because you know about me, I don't really watch a lot of animated stuff, so it's like if I'm watching it, it's got to be pretty interesting.
Well, yeah, I understand why when they made their brackets, they narrowed it down. Because right when you said to not narrow it down, I was like, shit, that's a lot of stuff. Because, of course, I do enjoy the Disney movies, but I also enjoy, like, just anime in general, which My Hero Academia is amazing. I watched fucking today's episode and just, like, shit my pants. It was so good. But I'm gonna go with your original question and just focus on Disney, because it'll make it a lot easier, but... how about you give me yours real quick so I can look up to make sure the one that I'm going to say is actually Disney and not fucking...
I don't know if the one I like is... Actually, I'm pretty sure it is. Actually, I'm like 100% sure it is. Now, for you... how I do this, like, bringing it down to my favorite, is not necessarily, like, the one I watch the most or whatever. I would say it's one that you told me right now that I have to... You sit me down. You say you have to watch one of these animated movies, and then I go, okay, which one would I watch?
Which one would you watch?
Well, give me a fucking minute, Jesus.
Sorry, I was expecting you to immediately have it like ready just off the cuff.
No, that's why I was spewing all that bullshit.
You were stalling?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Did you have to like look up the name? You forgot what your favorite movie from Disney is?
No, there's kind of like two.
Okay.
So I'll give you both. Toy Story and Lion King.
Really? Okay, so
Lion King
fucking
awesome, dude.
This podcast is going to be known for some straight fire thoughts, but cuz this is another hot take. Lion King is overrated. I do not enjoy Lion King. at all.
I didn't realize it was highly rated.
Oh yeah, people fucking love Lion King. People lose their shit over Lion King.
Because it's
Like,
super fun,
some people
dude.
would say it's the best like Disney movie, and I'm like, nah, man, it's not. I'm just not a fan of Lion King. Like, I enjoy that they essentially took Hamlet and they made it into like a more child-friendly version, with the exception of, you know, the fucking Nazi hyenas and the fucking death of Mufasa. But overall, I'm just like, I don't know. I think the reason why is because I'm not a big fan of like animals, which sounds weird. Of course, I like animals just as much as the next person, but I don't like animal-based movies where it's like, I was never fucking a huge fan of Air Bud when I was a kid, which was, I don't know, I don't think that's that weird, but
one of my favorite,
yeah, The Lion King is definitely the epitome of that. I'm like, it's got fucking animals.
One of my favorite animated movies of all time was Balto. Did you ever watch Balto?
The fucking like husky wolf thing?
Yeah.
I never watched it, but I know what the cover looks like.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I know, right?
Wait, is How to Train Your Dragon Disney? Because if it is, I have to switch my answer.
Which is kind of interesting.
It's DreamWorks.
No. Who owns DreamWorks?
Probably Disney.
That's why I asked the question. I was like, who owns DreamWorks?
Who owns DreamWorks? A parent company.
It's a subsidiary of NBC Universal.
I'm getting a lot of different answers on this.
I'm just looking at the Wikipedia page, and it says that it's a subsidiary of Universal Pictures, a division of Comcast through wholly owned subsidiary NBC.
This says
Universal.
Amblin Partners. So, I'm guessing
essentially
that's
what we've got down to is not Disney.
Not Disney, which is incredible.
Yeah, How to Train Your Dragon is pretty fantastic. But after I went into my hot take about fucking Lion King, I'm going to tell you that I think this is super... My favorite one is super underrated. And people are definitely going to judge me because I love it over fucking Lion King. But Treasure Planet, which is kind of funny because, like, 3 months ago, I accidentally said Treasure Island instead of Treasure Planet, and you gave me shit for it.
Oh, shit. I gotta change my answer.
To Treasure Planet?
No.
Or are you gonna say Treasure Planet sucks?
A Bug's Life.
A Bug's Life is legit. A Bug's Life is fucking fantastic, which I literally just talked about how I didn't, like, I don't... Yeah, it's not relatable with animals, but insects gets me. I'm like, oh yeah, no, Flick, he's my fucking shit. I love Flick.
Yeah, okay.
But still, Treasure Planet is my jam.
Treasure Planet's
got that mix.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's got that mix of fucking sci-fi and a little bit of fantasy. And I mean, you can say it didn't, but Wildstar, like one of my favorite MMOs, heavily took from Treasure Planet, like when they were thinking about their visual style. So
Wildstar.
they can say they didn't, but they're fucking
I never
liars.
played that.
It's pretty fantastic. It's another thing, just like Treasure Planet, very underrated. People, like, it dropped off massively because it was a pay-to-play MMO, and then it just kind of had, like, a lack of content, and they just didn't specify what content, because in the end, they ended up having, like, too much variation of content and not enough depth of content. So, like, they're like, oh, yeah, we have, like, war plots, and we have dungeons, we have raids, we have all this sorts of different stuff, but they didn't have enough of one thing for people to come back and be like, yeah, that's what I'm here for. They just diversified too much, essentially. Still, great game. That was actually, I brought up Wildstar in our, like, Monster Hunter World treatment, like, basically changing something just enough to make it more accessible without alienating the audience. And Wildstar was what I was talking about, was if they just brought Wildstar to consoles, it would be fucking amazing. Like, this wouldn't be like fucking Terra, how it's like, oh, I don't really give a shit, it's kind of fun to play. The combat style for Wildstar and its humor and everything would just be so much better if it was on console than just fucking computer. Like, NCSoft made a huge fucking error by not putting it out on console as well, which, I mean, MMOs on console are probably really, really hard to make. Plus, it was kind of marketed as like a WoW killer. Like, people thought it was going to kill WoW, so it makes sense that they went to the PC space first so they could actually take that audience instead of going to console, where the few MMOs that exist there aren't huge. So like DC Universe Online, Final Fantasy is huge now. Elder Scrolls has a pretty good base, but I would assume most of Final Fantasy and Elder Scrolls are, and maybe DC Universe, are all played on the computer and not a whole lot on consoles, but I'm probably wrong about that. It seems like consoles would actually be a lot easier to play those MMOs on, so I think they're more than likely get more players from console than they do PC. But yeah, I wish Wildstar was better.
If if like a really good MMO comes to console, dude, they thrive so much, and it's like, I don't know why they don't keep coming to console as much.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this is once again like original topic, us talking about how we could change things, but I don't know. I don't think I'll ever understand it. Like, console's kind of the market they need to go for, because yeah, there are a lot of hardcore players who will play on PC, but like me and you, once again, we're having a conversation, not on a podcast or anything. We talked about it yesterday, that PC is for like the hardcore crowd, where consoles can be for hardcore and moderate. Like, you can be a casual gamer and have a console, but having a PC and using it as your only source of gaming means that you're more than likely hardcore, because you have to put a lot of time and money and effort into a PC. Whereas console, it's like, no. And MMOs are, I mean, I'd like to say a lot of players that play MMOs are a little bit more casual than they are like fucking yeah, there's a lot of people who consistently come back to World of Warcraft, but I think a lot of their money is made off people like me who play it casually.
I'd say that's fair, because I think that and this is actually Destiny, so it's not really an MMO or whatever, however you want to categorize it.
It's like a mock MMO.
I think they said less than 10% of players actually completed the raids in the first one.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, the raids can be a huge pain in the ass, but they were also fucking great. Like, yeah. They were really interesting.
And it's crazy to think that it's like, I didn't think much of it every time we completed one of the raids. I was just like...
You didn't think it was a massive feat for a player?
Yeah, when apparently fucking 90% of the audience didn't even complete it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great thing about consoles and everything, or I guess Steam kind of does this too, but like achievements and trophies on PlayStation, where fucking, I know that achievements are for Xbox, by the way, and trophies are for PlayStation, but how you get a trophy that pops, and you're just by playing a game, like, you just really like this game, so you're playing it, and then you go and look at the trophy, and it says it's very rare for somebody to get that.
Yeah,
like how
6% have it or something. You're like, huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it, like, doesn't make any sense, because, I mean, these are games that aren't, like, collect-a-thons, or they aren't, like, basically just a visual novel in a sense, like, not Telltale games like The Walking Dead, where you could just go through and get a platinum for finishing it. It's like games like Destiny or something, where you get that Flawless Raider fucking trophy, and it's like, oh, it's very rare. Not many people get this, and one that's based on skill, but also it's just based on the fact that, like, you play it a shitload, so it's kind of weird. You don't think a lot of it at the time, but then in retrospect you're like, wow, no, it actually turns out that I did a lot more in this game than the average person who played it did.
And of course that also, I wonder if that's every player that's ever played the game, or if it's every player that's ever unlocked a trophy, I'm assuming it's just every player that's ever turned on this game. So if you got it, I don't know where you'd rent it, but if you rented it from somewhere and only played it for a couple hours and then took it back,
I mean, even in that amount of time, if games have trophies, you can pop a bronze trophy within a minute of playing a game.
Yeah.
It's not too hard to get.
But it's like, so we're also getting compared to those players.
Oh yeah, so your 6% isn't that exciting, because it's like, oh yeah, there's probably 100 people who bought this fucking game, played it for 2 seconds, and then returned it. or like they rented it for a week, and of course they couldn't get. It's possible that they didn't get that flawless raider achievement or trophy.
What's Forrest doing tomorrow? Do you know?
I'm assuming playing airsoft.
Huh?
But
no,
I don't know.
he just said he couldn't make it.
Weird.
Sorry, guys. We're doing our.
Yeah, this is a little shop talk.
Yeah.
Little did you know, Chase and Forrest are pretty big into airsoft. Little behind the scenes.
Look behind the curtain.
Yeah.
So one thing we plan on doing in the future of our channel is, I mean, obviously we want to get Justin back on because we really wanted to make Justin like the third, you know. But what we also want to do is we want to get more like of our friends or just, I mean, if they want to, other content creators out here.
We want to collaborate?
Yeah, we want to collaborate and just podcast with some other content creators because, you know, you see it all the, and obviously we're not going to get like fucking H3 on the podcast, but, you know, just...
You never know.
I mean, maybe in a couple years, but right now with our 64 subscribers...
I mean, a quick shout out to a friend of mine. His name is Jake. He's a streamer. It's like master_nappy on Twitch. He is more than likely going to come on the podcast soon.
Yeah,
we've got some stuff coming up.
And we were talking about that, and that's kind of what sparked that. It's like, I mean, it's going to be super awesome when we can get more people on. And Forrest, usually when we say our other friend, it's him.
Oh yeah. We basically only have like 2 friends, unless I'm talking about Morgan. Yeah.
Or Justin, but for those that don't know, Justin's been serving, so he's not in the country right now.
I think I mean, never mind. It doesn't matter. I was gonna say I think he's back. He's just
he's supposed to come back
not on here.
very soon. If not
he's not
already
out of
back.
the country the whole time. He's just on deployment at that time.
Yeah, he's been on deployment for a while.
No, I mean, in Justin's, like, okay, this is kind of a weird conversation to have on a podcast, but Justin's job essentially is to, he is kind of like an assistant. He's like, he works in an office essentially for the Navy. So he's based out of a certain place in the United States, but on occasion will go spend like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. He's been to like China and all sorts of stuff. But I think at the moment he's actually back. He's just focusing on family.
Yeah.
He's back at his house and everything. He's not in China, I think is where he was before.
We'll figure it
yeah,
out. We definitely want to
on
get him back on because he's a funny guy and we like having him around.
Yeah, I want to have more Fight Night debates. Fucking bitch.
We were building such a meme franchise with that Fight Night.
And then we lost it to the cosmos.
Yep, it's gone.
Well, you milked me. Oh, you got me.
Okay. I heard you were about to say one more thing, but if that's everything from you, then...
Oh, no, what I was going to say was you milked me. That's what I was going to say.
That's kind of hot.
I know, yeah. It's one of those bits that I'm not going to burn down, that I'm just going to say every fucking time we end this podcast is that you milked me.
You love getting
You milked me dry. I'm quite parched now.
Oh, really? Because I have some high-quality H2O right here.
I have leftover cherry Coke from going to see The Quiet Place yesterday.
Oh, that's disgusting. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. It's like super watered down.
Okay, well, thank you, Vaughn, for joining me today. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Vaughn. I didn't even notice that we were hitting on an hour, so that's kind of cool. I was just talking away.
Yeah, I mean, the podcast is around an hour each episode. If anybody gets this far, that's kind of cool.
That is really cool. If you get this far, type in the chat, we're not live.
Comments.
Type in the comments. Just type 1, 2, 3.
Just to really show that you got this far.
Yeah.
I think the only person who ever gets this far is probably Raisin Trash. And I don't even know how often Raisin Trash gets this far.
Well, there's the shout out of the week that Raisin Trash gets, because...
Literally the only person who comments on stuff.
I think I saw one more, which is pretty cool, but...
Yeah, it happens on occasion.
Okay, well, thank you, Vaughn. And thank you all for listening if you listened this far. If you didn't, thank you for listening for however long you listened to.